Good day, friends. And how are you? Usually we all say fine, and I'm sure that's what you will say. What we're going to do today is to review your answer from a health perspective, which means I'm planning to answer the question by running you through a series of tests: physical, mental, nutritional, psychological, and behavioral, simply because lifestyle is the major factor in the causation of disease. So we're going to do what is known as a lifestyle check. And the great benefit of this check is it will tell you exactly how healthy you are. It will give you a precise health score. And in addition, it will also evaluate your physiological age as compared to your chronological age. But more of this when we actually get into the tests. Now, may I request you all to get down to the chat component in your screen, and you will find that there is this URL over there. If you don't mind clicking on that URL, and it will take you to the actual questions. Okay, I'm sure all of you have managed to log into the questionnaire, and it says right at the top, how are you? This is a physical, medical, nutritional, and psychological series of scans, series of health and lifestyle evaluations that evaluates not only your health, but also your aging process. Now, this series of tests has been presented around the world and validated by the Apollo Hospitals Group in India, and also by the Harvard Medical School in the United States, where I have the great honor of presenting this product. Now, this is an online scan. It's an online product. And therefore, we are acutely aware of privacy matters, and therefore, we do not ask your name. However, we do need your email address so that we could send you back your prescription and the Good Health book, which follows your prescription. So, may I request that you fill in, as I will be doing, your email ID. Now, after you've filled in your email ID, we take you to the next step. Your age. We're now beginning the actual test, and so your age in years. My age is 72. So I fit in 72 over there. And then it asks me my gender. You have a choice, in this instance, only between male and female, and I have plugged in the male gender. So the first two questions that we ask is, or are, your age, because your age is relevant to your health in many factors. Younger individuals are fitter, and therefore there is a variation in the physical assessment. There's a variance between the male and female in terms of weight, and therefore that is a relevant factor in health also. And now you click the next parameter and it takes you to the lifestyle questions. So we have your age on the one hand, we have your gender, and now We will ask you a series, to be precise, 20, a series of questions, some of which are medical, nutritional, physical, and so on. 3 questions in the medical parameter. Question number 1. Your health is a gift that is given to you by your parents. And sometimes this is a Trojan's horse, meaning that your parents can pass on certain health characteristics to you. And some of the major killers in the world, the heart attack and cancer, are largely confined to families. So the question, has any member of your family, and this is your biologic family, your parents and grandparents, or even your siblings, brothers and sisters, suffered from a cardiac ailment or from cancer? If no, you would pass the test. If yes, this is a risk factor which we will need to modify. After you have done that, you could move on to the next component. There are 3 questions in medical check, 3 questions in the medical component. The first is the genetic factor or the lifestyle or the family history. The second is, have you had a medical check? Now, why do you need a medical check? You need a medical check because the major ailments in the world today, the heart attack, cancer, hypertension, diabetes, are all silent. So therefore, you need to be able to evaluate whether you have these ailments. And the only way you can do that is by actually undergoing a medical check. So the question is, have you had a medical check, a comprehensive medical check during the last 1 year? If yes, click yes. And if yes, click pass, and it will take you to the next question. Ailment situation. The third and final question. Of all the questions related to the medical aspect, we've selected just 3. Your family history, whether you've had a medical check, and whether you are currently on medication. Now, are you currently on medication? If you are currently on medication, and that is daily medication for things like hypertension and diabetes, etc., if you are, then you click fail. But if you are not, then you pass. I unfortunately am on some form of medication, and therefore I failed this test. We now move to the next series, and that is the physical aspects. The first question is, are you within the height and weight range? From where I am sitting, I can see that the chart is small and difficult to read, but I'm just able to do that. I'm 6 feet tall, and therefore my weight, and I'm a male, and therefore my weight must be between 67 and 77 kgs. Am I within that weight category? I would like each of you to check your height and your corresponding gender and weight. And if you pass this test, give yourself a pass mark. If you are within the range, give yourself a pass mark. Otherwise, you could give yourself a fail mark. I, for one, am a few kgs overweight. So I would fail this test. Research in 1960 during the Rome Olympics indicated that most of the world champions were overweight. And they were overweight largely because they had strong muscular bodies. Muscles is good. It helps the body to move better. It improves circulation. It improves metabolism. Fat is the enemy. And fat that is located around the abdomen is the biggest enemy of all. Now, usually we all require some amount of fat, which is in the region of 25% or 1 inch, is essential for body survival. What you can see over here is a gentleman who is taking a pinch of fat around his abdomen. He will now measure this pinch of fat against the first phalange of his finger. As you can see on your screen, the first phalange of my index finger. Now, in case it is within the first phalange, you would pass the test. In case it is outside the first phalange and it is more than just the first phalange, it would mean that you have excess body fat. If you have excess body fat, you would then fail the test. But if your fat range is within the first phalange of your finger, which would mean less than 1 inch or less than 25%, you would pass the test. And now you could move to the next test. The next test is physical activity. The activities that you do on a daily basis strengthen the body. Exercise strengthens the heart, it improves the circulation, it strengthens the muscles, it gives you shape, it strengthens the bones, it improves the lungs. It is excellent for your health. And therefore the sixth question is, do you have sufficient exercise activity? In case you have more than 30 to 45 minutes of exercise activity every day, in case you do, then you would pass this test. I, for one, am an avid cyclist, and I cycle around 25 to 30 kilometers every day, and therefore I would pass this test. Now, exercise comprises of 2 or 3 components. One component is activity, which you have just evaluated yourself on. The world standard, or the standard by the American Sports Medicine Association, is a minimum of 30 minutes of moderate activity every day in terms of exercise. And we've evaluated you in the previous test. Now we are looking at cardiorespiratory, and then we will look at strength, and then we will look at mobility. Remember, what we are doing now is we are evaluating your body condition. Are you fit? The first 3 tests helped us to isolate your medical status. Now we are defining your fitness status, your body condition. Can you hold your breath for 45 seconds? All you have to do is to take a deep breath. You could hold your nose so that the respiration does not seep out, or you can just take a deep breath and hold your breath. Look at your watch and time 45 seconds. Now I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to time myself. I would like you all to do the same. Ready? Breathe. Since I'm going to be speaking, I will not do this test, but I know for a fact that I can hold my breath for 60 seconds. You have completed 30 seconds. You have another 15 seconds to go. See if you can hold your breath for 45 seconds. If you can, it means you have sufficient lung capacity. And now we have reached the 45-second barrier. You may breathe. In case you have passed this test, please click pass. And then we move on to the next test. As I mentioned to you, the first test was activity. Are you burning enough calories was the first test. The second test is your cardiorespiratory stamina. Now we are testing your flexibility, the both joints flexibility or your mobility. In this instance, we are testing your spinal flexibility. Can you touch your toes without bending your knees? If you can, touch your toes. If you can, you will pass this test. And arthritis and spondylosis and back ailments will remain a distant nightmare. It will not happen. But if you cannot touch your toes, then be sure that you will have joint and skeletal related problems in due course in case you already do not have these problems. Once you have clicked the pass and fail, you move on to the next test. And the next test is relevant to the food you eat. We've evaluated you in terms of your medical aspect, your body condition, in terms of stamina, strength, flexibility, and activity. We now ask a series of questions, 3 questions to be precise, on nutrition. Nutrition is a large subject. How do you select the 3 questions? You ask about the best and the worst. What is the best food that you can possibly have? And that is fruit and vegetable. Fruit and vegetable purifies the body. It gives you fiber to enable you to cleanse the body. It gives you minerals and vitamins and antioxidants to protect you from illness and strengthen your immunity. If you eat fruit and vegetable every day, the possibilities of cancer are very distant. So in case you do eat fruit and vegetable every day, give yourself a pass mark. In case you do not, give yourself a fail. And then make the entry, and let's move on to the next test. The only food that does not have any calories is water. The human body, your brilliant brain is more than 90% water. Your blood is 99% water, and your solid bones are 67% fluid. We need fluid to keep the body's homeostatic position functional. Water is so important to your immunity. Water is important to your brain. Water is important to the entire body. And therefore, you should drink enough. There are precise measures on how much water you should drink. But in this simple classroom test, I simply ask, do you drink more than 6 glasses of water every day? Now remember, while this is a test of fluid intake, and fluid could be fruit juice, it could be a Coke, it could also be a bottle of beer. My question is specific to water. Do you drink 6 glasses of water every day? In case you do, you pass the test. And then we move on to our final question on food. If fruit and vegetable are the best things you can do for your body in terms of food, then what is the worst thing you could do? The worst thing you can do is eat out frequently at commercial institutions. And these commercial institutions and cafes and fast food joints and restaurants, you will notice that the food is attractive looking, it is probably more tasty, and it probably remains longer on the shelf. And that is because it has chemicals, colorings, preservatives, salt, sugar, toxins. And all of these contribute to food toxicity, which over the years, 10 or 12 years, will result in cancer. If smoking is the single largest form of cancer, largest cause of cancer in the world, then eating out and food is the second biggest cause. 30% of cancers are caused from inappropriate diet. So in case you eat more than 2 meals a week outside your home, you fail this test. If you do not eat outside your home too frequently, you will pass. And then you simply move on to the next test. We've evaluated you in nutrition and activity and medicine. Now we evaluate you in terms of your mind, your well-being, your mental well-being. Psychosoma is a series of ailments that are caused by stress. And surprisingly, these ailments move across the body. Headaches, the inability to sleep, digestive problems, respiratory problems, hypertension, diabetes. All of these could be stress related. So, if you have any of these ailments, starting from the top, headache, insomnia, irritability, respiratory dysfunction, digestive ailments, body ache, hypertension, any of these ailments, the probability is that you have high levels of stress. If that is the case, then you fail this test. Otherwise, you pass. And we move on to the next series of questions relating to stress. Now, areas related to your well-being. I'm trying to locate the questions here. Relating to your well-being, there seem to be quite a few, about 4 or 5. So if the first question relates to psychosoma, then the second question on your mental well-being relates to your personality. Are you a stressful personality? Are you a type A personality? Are you an executive type personality? Are you ambitious? Are you competitive? Are you time pressure? Are you quick to anger? If you are, it means that you are very likely overextended and that you have high levels of stress. And what happens when you have high levels of stress? When you have high levels of stress, the adrenaline in the body makes the body toxic. And this results in stress ailments such as headache, irritability, and so on and so forth. So if you are ambitious and competitive and time pressure, then you fail this test. If you are not, pass. One area in which we always have stress is at work. Many of us find work stressful. But many of us, in spite of the stress at work, love our jobs. If you love your job, if you get up in the morning and look forward to your work, it means that the stress is being managed by you. And if stress is being managed by you, you do not have stress. When you do not have stress, that negatively impacts you. So irrespective of the stresses at work, which could be caused by inadequate salary, it could be long working hours, it could be working away from home, it could be working on time shifts and working at night instead of the day, and so on and so forth. All these are stressors. But if your job is your passion, if your job is your hobby, if you love your job, then these things don't really matter. You pass this test. The one place you do get a lot of stress is at work. But a location in which you should have no stress at all is your home. Your home is your castle. This is where you are relaxed and comfortable and you can be yourself. You are the king of your castle. If you have a happy home without any unnecessary problems with your spouse or your in-laws, or if the children are well, and if things are going nicely at home, then give yourself a pass mark. If not, and you have stress at home, give yourself a fail. So we've evaluated psychosoma in stress or mental well-being. We've evaluated personality and occupation and home and family. Now let's look at problems and crises. A problem without a solution for long periods of time, 6 months, such as a financial problem, or a divorce, or a separation, or a health-related problem of a family member. Many of these situations do not result in immediate solutions. During the period of the pendency of the problem, you will have stress. So, in case you have a problem for which you have not found a solution, you are in a crisis position and you will fail the test. Otherwise, give yourself a pass mark and move on to the next test. A problem shared is a problem halved. Happiness shared is happiness doubled. Do you have a good support system of family and friends or colleagues? Can you get support in a legal problem? Do you have a lawyer? Do you have a family doctor to help you out in medical problems? Is your banker kind to you when it comes to financial problems? Are your friends good to you when it comes to emotional problems? In case you have family support and friend support and extended support from colleagues, you pass this test. If not, you fail. And we move on to the next series of tests. The opposite of stress is relaxation. Sleep is nature's way of healing. When you sleep, the brain waves come down to between 1 and 4 beats per second. During this time, the body releases endorphins, healing hormones. And all the ills of the body are cured during sleep. Children grow during sleep. Sleep is a very positive requirement for the body. The minimum requirement of sleep is usually between 6 to 8 hours. Anything less than 6 is too little. Anything more than 8, well, it's good. If you are able to sleep long, that's excellent. But 8 hours is considered the norm. In this instance, my question is very simple. Cumulatively in a day, do you sleep for at least 7 hours? Cumulatively in a day, whether it is your afternoon siesta or your nighttime sleep, do you sleep for at least 7 hours? Anything between 6 to 8 is good, but to pass this test, I've suggested 7. Why the variance? Older individuals tend to sleep less and younger individuals tend to sleep more. 7 hours is the perfect medium for both. Measure yourself and then move on to the next series of tests. Now, in the mental well-being component, we measured your psychosoma, we measured your personality, your stress at work, your happiness quotient at home, whether you have problems and crises, whether you have support systems, and whether you have enough sleep. All of these cumulatively will impact your body in terms of health in case you are negative related or you rate yourself negatively. We now come to psychosocial behavior. The 2 or 3 things that cause injury, smoking, alcohol, are 2 of the major factors. These are socially sanctioned addictions. Just because they are socially sanctioned doesn't make them good. Do you smoke? Remember, smoking is the major killer in the world. 60% of individuals who smoke will have cancer. Tobacco chewed will cause oral cancer. Tobacco smoked will cause lung cancer. Do you smoke? Even on occasion. It's not a good habit. Do you drink alcohol? Now, there is much research to say that red wine is good. It contains antioxidants and flavonoids. Maybe so. Maybe at an older age, when you are beyond the range of addiction, a glass of wine is good for you. But for individuals who are young, and I define that as anyone below the age of 40, drinking alcohol frequently can cause an addiction. And to that extent, it is not good for you. So therefore, my question is very simple. Do you smoke? If you do, you fail this test. Do you frequently drink alcohol? Irrespective of age, do you drink alcohol every day? If you do, you fail. If you are young and drink alcohol occasionally and drink too much so as to put yourself and your friends at risk, again you fail the test. Smoking and alcohol are not good for human consumption. If you do not, you pass, otherwise you would fail. Our last test, risk behavior. Risk behavior can come from a lot of activities, even good activities. In this instance, risk behavior would mean participating in dangerous activities such as rock climbing or skydiving, or any such affiliated activity that puts you at risk of injury. Racing motor cars, for example. Any risk-related activity would put you at risk. If you do indulge, you would give yourself a fail mark. Otherwise, you would give yourself a pass mark. And now we come to finding out what our score is. You have completed 20 tests. At the end of these 20 tests, you will be able to self-ascertain 2 things. 1, are you healthy? And if so, how healthy? 2, is your chronological age and your physiological age equal due to the way you live and have treated yourself? So kindly click on the submit button. When you click on the submit button, it says view score and My score is 75 or 100. Now, I'm quite sure that is good, but let us see how we evaluate ourselves. Okay? Here is the result. You all have a score. If you have scored above 85, it is excellent. Less than 15 people in the world can achieve these scores. The answer to the question, how are you, then is very well. The next morning when you meet your friends and they say, how are you? Your answer will be very well. If you have scored between 84 to 65, as I have, my answer to the question, how are you, is, I am well. It means I'm living a good lifestyle and I'm taking good care of myself. If, however, your score is below 65, between 65 and 50, when your friends meet you in the morning and ask the question, how are you? You will say, I am not well, thank you. Now, why aren't you well? You aren't well because 50% of your lifestyle is wrongly lived. Almost 50%. It would mean either that your diet is inappropriate or you don't do enough exercises, and the printout that you will get in your mail will show you exactly where your failings are. In case you are less than 50%, at 49% and less, your score, this is high risk, which would then mean that you must take your life under control immediately. Now, on this side, we have given you your precise health score. Next, we will correlate this with your age. In case your score is above 85, you would be younger than you are by 5 years. Whatever your date of birth is, minus 5 years, and that is your physiological age. It means your body's age acceleration is less than 1 year a year. If you have scored anything between 65 to 85 or 84, you're aging at rate of 1 year per year, and that is excellent. But you can be younger than you are by improving your lifestyle. If you've scored anything between 50 to 64, you are in an age acceleration situation. You are already older than your actual age by 5 years. But you can reverse this again by improving your lifestyle. In case you have less than 50% pass, then your age accelerating is acute. For example, you could be 40 years, but your actual physiological age would be 50, and all the manifestations of aged individual, arthritis, spondylosis, hypertension, and diabetes will visit you, because the body functions according to its capability. It ages itself according to its capacity and not according to its birth certificate. Now, what we have done so far is that we have evaluated you. And actually only raised the issues that are problematic for you. How do we gift you with the answers to your questions on how to manage your diet and how to exercise? All of us who have completed this questionnaire can simply click onto this URL, and you will receive a good health book in your mail. You will see it right here. This good health book will give you all the information that you might need on your medical aspect, your exercise, nutrition, diet, so on and so forth. It gives you the rules of good health. It advises you on your annual medical check. It gives you an exercise and fitness regimen. Posture, gym training, your diet, your height-weight ratios, your calorie utilization. It talks in terms of, thereafter it talks in terms of stress, how to manage sleep, how to meditate. It also talks about how to quit smoking and how to manage alcohol. It also gives you some aspects on how to manage safety. Friends, I hope you have enjoyed this session. In case you cannot see this slide, then I would like to say thank you. Thank you very much.